Good morning. I almost wanted to go, this is Mambo number. No, it's not. This is Propulsion Live. And welcome. Yeah, today you'll see I'm not in my studio, so it's quite a different vibe. And I'm a little bit, like usually when I broadcast from some weird place, I'm a little bit out of my depth and a little bit disorientated, but be that as it may, let's have fun today. I'm revisiting the 21 things today, but I'm also going to share 5 brand new things that you must focus on for yourself and your business I would say, in the next quarter or so. And again, we'll get into some of how to approach this, because I think that is so important. Today we have back Mr. David Kopp doing the news, sponsored by the FBI, and then we have Norma talking about personal development and how to become the student. Again, I can also already see Mr. Miyagi. Looking forward to that one. And then we'll get into the feature topic. So thank you very much for joining us live. Really appreciate it. As I always say, it's better to do this live than to do this, watch the recording. But if you are watching the recording, deeply appreciate you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We're on 948, only 52 away from that magical 1,000. I don't know what that magic will be, but apparently it's magical, and I want to experience the magic. Okay, I'm not Harry Potter, but I would really love some of that. I'm more of a Ron than a Harry, probably. But so good morning. Let me say a quick good morning before we jump into the news. Good morning, Albert. Very nice to see you for the Triple F, the Francois Friday fix. Thanks, Albert. That's amazing. That's cool. That can almost become a new show. Elmin, goeiemorgen. Welcome. Paula, goeiemorgen. Good morning. Nice to see you. Jeff, good morning. Nice to see you. Tracy, good morning. Nice to see you as well. Mark Lane, welcome, my friend. Very nice to see you. You and I must have a catch-up before the end of the year, just a quick Zoom call or something like that. Cool beans. So with that, let's get into this morning show. And let's head on over to Mr. David Kopp in the new studio. And I hope he's got a fun fact for us today, because today is going to be a lot of fun. So let's hope that he kicks it off or ends his segment in that way. I'm pretty sure he will. So here we go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of the news. And I feel quite bad with the way I'm going to start it after that intro. So unfortunately, starting with some bad news for all South Africans in debt. The Reserve Bank has raised the repo rate by 25 basis points from 3.5 to 3.75%, meaning the prime lending rate will rise to 7.25%. So the decision was taken due to the concerns of the rising inflation rates. However, I suppose a bit of good news, it wasn't unanimous by the Monetary Policy Committee, with 3 members voting to raise the interest rate, but at least 2 voting to keep it the same. Then National Treasury and the FSCA have released the Retirement Fund Economies of Scale report. So this is a updated report that they published around the retirement fund industry in South Africa, revealing remarkable insights around the shifting dynamics of the industry and some valuable interventions to improve fund member outcomes. The report was commissioned by NEDLAC as part of the Social Security and Retirement Reform discussions. The report is based on a 2011 study called Economies of Scale and Pension Fund Plans, Evidence from South Africa. And there the report found that there were between 25% and 30% of unused scale of economies in the retirement fund industry, with the optimum fund size being 220,000 members. The research is meant to assist NEDLAC with discussions around social security and retirement reforms, as we said. And the data that we found, and it's quite an interesting read, is that there's been a general decrease in the number of funds, and we know that that was definitely a focus of National Treasury. There's an increase in the average fund size, which I think correlates with the number one. But there has been an increase in administration expenses, which means that the optimal size of the fund is now 300,000 members in the latest one. But only 0.4% of funds are actually above the 300,000 member stuff. So it will be quite interesting to see saying that most funds operate inefficiently with differing efficiencies across fund subtype, class, and benefit structure. So the full report is available on the FSCA website. So anyone in the retirement fund industry or interested in that, Definitely something to read on about. Then, as reported on moneyweb.co.za, Africa's biggest pension fund, the GEPF, froze the PRC 70 billion rand mandate. So they have frozen the mandate, which expired in March, that would allow the PRC to invest in new unlisted funds. So again, they're busy renegotiating that mandate, particularly with regards to unlisted funds. So interesting there. Then, we have our names, Francois, David, all the people on there. But according to a 2013 study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, bottlenose dolphins each have their own special whistles, which are just like human names. So bottlenose dolphins develop their own unique identity signal, their signature whistle, the researchers reported. This whistle encodes individual identity independently of voice features. The copying of signature whistles may therefore allow animals to label or address one another. So it appears that humans are not the only one who name ourselves, but bottlenose dolphins do it too. So thank you very much, Francois, and back to you in the studio.
I don't know. That sounds like a fishy fact for me. So, David, you didn't see that one coming, I'm sure.
No, I walked straight into that one, so thanks.
Open eyes and all. David, thank you so very much. Deeply appreciate it. You must have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you back soon.
I will see you, and you too, and to everyone in the show too. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, man. Bye-bye. Alrighty, so with that fun fact, let's head on over straight to Norma in the for personal development and talking about being the student today, and looking forward to hear what Norma has to say. So Norma, here we go.
Good morning. My topic for today is we can allow ourselves to be the student sometimes. So this was inspired actually by, it was something that's been on my list of stuff to talk about, and I didn't really think it was relevant in this audience. And then I heard Francois talk to Louis van der Merwe in that interview the other day on his podcast, and he was talking about the fraud complex, or felt like an imposter somewhere along in his career. So I thought this might be a topic of interest to everybody. So this is my take on the subject. So we set goals and then we pursue those goals, and we find ourselves in this new arena. And we sometimes think it's just going to be rainbows and daisies. And once we settle in, we start looking around, and we find and we actually compare ourselves, and we look at people that's been doing, what we want to do. They've been doing it for ages and for decades. And then we start sort of telling ourselves that, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm going to be found out at any point. And that's when those thoughts of imposter or feeling like a fraud actually then comes up for us. But I think what we don't realize is that the point of setting goals is to put ourselves into new territory. We're supposed to be growing and learning, and most of the time it's actually we're putting ourselves in a totally new situation. It's something we haven't done before. It's brand new for us. So what I want to offer you today is, instead of going to that negative place where we say, I don't belong here, I shouldn't be here, or I don't know what I'm doing, rather look at it at some different way, and something that's serving us and that can actually keep us moving forward, because feeling like an imposter or feeling like I don't belong here actually just blocks us and just stops us from moving forward. So what I offer then is to allow ourselves to be the student. So that's as simple as that. So that we can do that in two ways. So we once we go into that situation where we are the student, we sort of put aside what we learn, what we bring with us, and we adopt that mentality of being the student. And then as well, everything that we bring with us and all the experience and the expertise that we bring from our industry, for instance, to really just like put that aside for a moment and just focus on being the student, being open to learning and to new perspectives, and also then taking ownership and responsibility for our growth and our learning. And that means having a mindset of that I'm going to get out of this what I came for. And then, if we're showing up with this mindset of, they can't teach me anything, there's nothing for me to learn, they're doing it wrong, then we might just lose out on a great learning experience. So once we say we're in this new arena, we're uncomfortable and we might feel a little bit out of place. But that's just because we haven't adopted this new identity. So it just means that we have to work on our thinking, and we have to step into this new identity. So basically what that means is that I have to go and see that this person that I want to become, that already has the result, what does that person think, do, and feel? So if I want to step into a position or a role where I'm the director, or I want to lose the weight, or I want to have the relationship that is very connected with my spouse, what does that person that already has that result, what does that person think, feel, and do on a regular basis? So it's okay for us to not have that belief straight away, and it's okay for us then not to make it mean anything, but just to know that, and being aware of it, that we need to be working on our thinking and change the way that we think, because it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your capability or skill, or the fact that you don't know what you're doing. So I believe that that unshakable confidence really comes from commitment to obviously the bigger goal, but also committing on a daily basis to that goal, and then having the courage to take those action steps, and taking those action steps on a regular basis, and repeating those steps, so we become more competent and more capable, and that would ultimately lead to the confidence. So we can't really bypass that circle. So how do we step into that identity? Is simply by saying, the person that already has the result that I want, what does that person think, feel, and do? And if I can give you an example, for instance, so if I keep thinking that I shouldn't be here, I don't know what I'm doing, that's going to create feelings of maybe feeling shame or feeling already defeated before I've started. And that would obviously show in my actions. Now, comparing that with thinking, I'm learning, this is a new learning experience for me, I'll figure it out. That would obviously lead to feelings of maybe confidence, commitment, maybe determination, and that would obviously then translate into, I have the correct, or the amount of feelings, or the feelings that would obviously drive me forward to get to my goal. So in closing, so we can allow ourselves then to be the student while we're busy building that confidence. And that only comes with committing, taking the courage to taking the actions, repeatedly doing those actions, so that it leads to competence, and then only we have the confidence. So while we're in that process, we can either make it mean that we shouldn't be here, we don't know what we're doing, or we can take the alternative route by saying to ourselves that I'm learning, I'm figuring it out. So that's what I have for you today. Hope it's helpful, and I'll speak to you again next week.
Great stuff. Thank you, Norma. And hope you have a lekker weekend, as I always sort of bless you with a lekker weekend. So yeah, enjoy, and we'll see you back next week.
Great. Thanks, and everyone, and have a good weekend.
Fantastic. Just a quick question. How's it going with the Facebook group that you started with all the women?
Yeah, it's fine. It's I'm posting there. Yeah, we're building engagement, so we're getting there. Thank you for asking.
No, good stuff. As long as it keeps on growing. So yeah, if you want, check out Norma's Facebook group. It's specifically for women, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, cool stuff. All right, Norma, donkey, lekker bly. We'll see you back next week.
Thank you. Cheers. Okay, bye.
Alrighty, so with that, it's obviously time for a little bit of announcements, because I have to use this opportunity for that as well. And then, just a couple of things, not a lot. The first thing is that we had the How to Motivate Your Team session on Wednesday this week. And with that, you can go and watch that. The recording is available right here on the YouTube channel, so it is open for everybody to go and view. You can go look at that. It's a very simple. If you want to just go find it, if you don't want to go on YouTube and search for it and find the channel and all that stuff, then propulsion.co.za/motivation will take you straight there. It's about half an hour, just about, I think, 33 minutes, because obviously we greet people and say hi at the beginning, but it's about half an hour of great content, 2 models that is being discussed, 3 things that you can really take away from that session. And yeah, it was quite an interesting discussion between myself and Adam Owen. So go and check that out. It is available right now, and enjoy and use that, because you can also apply those same models just to yourself. And as I said, when we marketed this, is even if you only have one person working for you, it's so vital. And with people now working decentralized from different places, how do we motivate our teams? And if you see what really drives motivation versus the things we think drives motivation, it's quite some interesting insights to gain from the session. So go and check it out, how to motivate your team. And it is really valuable from that perspective. Right, then the other one is obviously on the 3rd of December, we are doing the Write a Book in a Day challenge. So it is going to be broadcasted live. So the authors, you are all on the platform, and we are going to start communicating and talking about everything and getting everything together. There will be also a get-together to just sort of position everything. But this specific, what I announced today, is the live stream for the day. It's going to be live streamed from 9 o'clock in the morning right through until 3 o'clock when we finish. Or if we finish earlier, then we finish earlier. But it should go until 3 o'clock. And you're welcome to pop in and out during the day. There is it's already scheduled. It is available here on the YouTube channel. You can find it there. We have also emailed it out to our subscriber base. We will be sending it out on WhatsApp as well. But yeah, you can find it and join us for the day, because we're going to have some interesting interviews with different people, and then also pop into each author's, quickly chat to them while they're busy writing their chapter. So really looking forward to this. This is an amazing opportunity. We're writing a book for the profession, and it's really a way for us to give back and also influence, I think, in the long run, where the profession is going. So really valuable. I'm really grateful for all the people who volunteered and put their hands up and said, listen, I would like to participate in this. And yeah, so thank you very much for that. Really looking forward to that one. So please keep an eye out for this. Write a Book in a Day. Tell everybody about it. Like, please let the word go. Everybody's welcome to come and watch. So that is sort of the important stuff. So that is Write a Book in a Day. Don't miss that. All right, so yeah, I think the last thing I would say is obviously also remember to go check out PROpulsion Pro if you haven't yet. The link is down in the description below. If you're on YouTube, unfortunately, I don't put links on Facebook and on LinkedIn because they don't like that very much. But on YouTube, everything is there, so in the descriptions. And I did see that we're now 949 subscribers. So whoever that one person is that subscribed this morning, thank you so much. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. The last thing that I want to sort of ask is, it's been a while. I don't ask often for this, but if you can, consider supporting the show through becoming a patron. So you can go just to patreon.com/VCF, which was the old name for the show. But you can there, it's just for about, about $40 a month, I think you can support us. That's sort of the minimum, because it's $3 if I remember correctly, but that'll be great. It makes a difference. It helps us sort of work on the studio, and it helps us buy new equipment, and it helps us also to get posters and all that good stuff. So if you want, you can do that. If you don't want to, also good. Just being here is great. So thank you so much. All right, enough with all this announcement stuff, Francois. Let's move on and let's discuss today's topic, which is the 21 things that we sort of episode 9 last year, the ninth day in a row See, we're having lots of fun today. In a row that we did the show. We did a show on 21 things that you must do now for you and your business. And those were 21 fantastic things. When I went through them again, it's so relevant still. But I'm going to highlight a few of them and sort of say which ones I think was most valuable. And then also I'm going to give you 5 brand new ones. So Francois, shut up. Let's get into this. So here we go. Great stuff. I just quickly want to say good morning to a few people who I haven't seen in a long while. Gomotso, good morning. I hope you are well. And Haneri, what a surprise, Haneri. I'm going to be in Cape Town for 2 months, Haneri, so maybe we must get together while I'm there. But thank you so much for joining and for saying hi. Rizaan, alipad van die Vrystaat af oggend, dink ek. Good morning, goeiemôre. And then Arun, welcome back. You are here frequently, so thank you very much. All right, so let's get into this whole 21 things, and I quickly want to remind you just sort of what they were. So let me try and do something here to sort of show this to you. So those were the 21 things that, and this booklet is still available, by the way, and I will probably link it down below. I don't think I have yet, but this document is available. I've shared it on my LinkedIn profile and made it available in other places, and I think I've even WhatsApped it to the broadcast list. Like a couple of weeks ago, but these were sort of the 21 things that I said, well, this is what we could be focusing on when we went into hard lockdown, because suddenly we had the time to do this. But the big premise around this is don't try and do all 21 things, because when you start trying to do all the stuff, you get so overwhelmed and you quickly run out of steam and you don't implement any of the stuff. You know, when you read through them, they're all quite cool. And we sort of gave guidelines about this. And obviously, as I said in episode 9, and you can go back and watch it, it wasn't so bad. I actually watched it last night again, and I thought not too bad. So go and watch that if you want to hear me talk about each one of these 21 things that you could do. And I think there was, in fact, the 22nd one, which I also spoke about in that episode. But anyway, so I want to today highlight a few of these, just to sort of say which ones do I believe were probably the most valuable ones. And then I'm going to share 5 new ones, which I think going forward, you should definitely consider 1 or 2 of them to also implement. So the first one was to clean your database. This is so important because the data we work with is absolutely critical. And if the data isn't clean, the information isn't correct, it doesn't mean anything. You know, you can have the most wonderful system. It's not about the system. And we've also had those discussions with Rob and Richard last year. There were, I think, 3 episodes where we talked about the importance of data, you know, when it comes to your system. So it is absolutely critical that your data is clean and that you don't have unnecessary things in your database. It's easy to mine your database. It's easy to find valuable information and to identify things from that, and that you have one source of truth. That's so important. You must have one place where all the data sits, and then it should feed other different systems. But cleaning your database is an ongoing thing. And once if you ever get there where it's 100% clean, then the mission must be to keep it like that, because really, like, once that gets out of hand, it's a massive job to clean it up. And usually I advise people to do it over a 12-month period as you review clients, update the information, clean the thing, you know, sort of I'd go and identify one thing that you could do without seeing clients, identify who are in fact still clients and who are not. So definitely something to do. But clean your database was number 1, and it was probably, I think, one of the most important ones of the lot that I did give. Then always to work on a strategy, because suddenly we found ourselves in this weird and wonderful place. Now, 18 months later, I'm listening to the things that I said in that episode, and I was still like, you know, maybe in 21 days we'll get back to, like, people, we are 18 months later. We are still not back to where we were before lockdown. I didn't have any idea what was going on. I had no idea what to expect. So today we're in a much better position to put together a strategy. But the question to me remains, like, you know, are we purposefully sitting and coming up with a strategy and planning and saying, well, if this happens, then I'll do that. If this happens, then I'll do that. You know, if it goes back, what do I take the best of what happened during the last 18 months and make that part of my value proposition? So all those kind of things are definitely important to consider. So working on a strategy was obviously, it's always important for any business. So I think that was the other one. The third one, which I think was quite important, was to design and create templates. It was an ideal time to do this, because this is part of automation. And it's a way of making things easier and simpler. So just very recently, like in last weekend, I redid the PROpulsion Pro application form, for example, on our website to make it a lot easier for people that wants to join, number 1, making sure we don't ask unnecessary information, but also, like, for when we issue invoices and things, like, often it happened where we only asked for the member's details, and then the member wanted us to invoice their company, but we didn't know it. So we issue the invoice, and then they come back and say, listen, no, I want you to invoice the business, and then we have to credit note and issue an invoice again. So now just by knowing that happens, I just built a little thing in there where you just click a button and say, listen, just invoice me in my personal name, or no, invoice someone else. And only then does the form give you other stuff. And that's the important thing. And when somebody does that, it's not being, it doesn't go anywhere. It is literally going directly into my system. And that's the amazing thing, so that's part of a template. A form is a template. A template could be a letter. A template could be an email. I've done that very successfully with when I invite guests to the show, or like sending David and Norma and everybody their links for the day. I used to type it out in the beginning. Now I've got these nice templates. It's a click, click, click. I think it's 3 clicks. It's in there. The only thing I need to do is paste the link. Everything else is already there. So it can really make life so much more simpler and so much more easier if you just go and think about the things that you do over and over and over again, and specifically where you must always go back to someone to ask for more information. I almost rip my own head off now. So where you have to continuously go back and ask for information or confirm things. Those things are a clear indication that you need a template. So look out for those things and work on that. So always an ongoing process, but and also then how do you incorporate this into your system? I think that's also an important thing. Staff training. I can't give more importance to this than I think I'm about to do. So, focusing on your staff and making sure that they are trained, not only in what they do, but probably also in what you do. What is it that you do with a client? Let them sit in when you're meeting with clients. It's easy now with virtual. They can sit there on the side. The client wouldn't even know they're there, but they can listen to what you're doing. They can see how you operate. They can see the kind of questions and hear the kind of questions that you ask. They could even give you feedback on what might work better. But, train them. Make sure that there is a plan. There's a training plan for things that you want them to learn. Ask them what they want to learn, what's going to make their lives easier. So staff training, absolutely critical. It's not only your own training, your own CPD, that kind of stuff that's important. It is absolutely also your staff. And it's not only, they must know how to use the system. They must know how to change a debit order. They must know, how to fax, if we still faxed, or attach a document to an email. It's not just that. There's soft skills. There is product knowledge. There's financial planning knowledge. There's system knowledge. There's all these different areas that is very important, that can make your life and your business so much better and help deliver on your client value proposition and experience. So definitely important. The other thing, which I think a lot of people found themselves with their pants on their ankles, probably. I don't know if that's the right expression. I'm sorry if it's not. But it is clean. Like, we didn't have a proper email list and a proper communication list, or like already maybe a broadcast list set up in WhatsApp. And that was, by the way, the 22nd thing. It said, well, set up a broadcast list in WhatsApp. But having another way of communicating with clients in this difficult time. So email is always going to be there, and then also things like WhatsApp, etc. But understanding, or having this clean mailing list where you only email people that you should be emailing, and also maybe building that out to include prospects and so forth in the future. But again, cleaning up your mailing list, I think, was such an important sort of thing to do. And again, something that you should be doing on an ongoing basis. Then also there was working on automation, which goes together with the templates and creating forms and so forth. But automation is also, how can I literally automate things so that I don't have to do it anymore? I'm going to give you a very simple example from my business. So, when you, excuse me, so the dogs is going mad. I'm very sorry for that. With the sort of when somebody signs up for PROpulsion Pro, for example, or they booked for an event, in that instance, it was very difficult for me, or it took me a long time rather, to get people onto the system and to send them their links and to register them for the webinar, or to send them their Zoom links, even though that part could be automated. But the problem is all of these things were disjointed. And So all of those things didn't talk together. So I had to literally, the one part was sort of done, fill in your form, thank you very much. But then I had to go and do it manually. And that took me quite a long time until I sort of figured out how to let these things actually talk to one another. And now I don't even know. It's like once I've set up the form, the person fills in the form, it goes through, takes payment, puts them into the system, registers them for the webinar if there's a webinar, and sends them the communications around that. So I don't do any of that anymore. It's all automated. And those are the kind of things where you think about client onboarding, you think about, getting people ready or bring them into your practice, or maybe there's whatever it is that you need to do, even updating information, how do you automate that part? And on automation doesn't mean that you let the client do the work, because that doesn't help. We should also consider, like, what is the impact on the client? So automation isn't just shifting our responsibilities and our admin work to the client. That's definitely not, I think, a good idea, because we want to make it as easy as possible for clients to do business with us. But it is very important that, once we get that information back in whatever way, or even if we gather the information, how do we make sure that it goes where it needs to go, and everything else, or as much as possible around that, is in fact automated. Then something that I believe a lot in is to create content. Be a creator, don't be a consumer of content. I saw there was a post yesterday on LinkedIn. It's a post that I've seen before, or rather the stats around it I've seen before, but it came up again, and it is definitely important to understand that very few, I think 4% of people on LinkedIn are actually creating content. 64% are consuming the content and not engaging. So they don't like the comments, or they don't like not like they don't like it. They don't click a like or a reaction or something on the platform. They do not comment. They do not share. So that's what I talk about when I talk about engagement. So those things are all important. So, create content, or at least ideas for content. And maybe you want to do it yourself, or maybe you have it created for you. We've done some interesting stuff lately where we obviously created content, well, not obviously, but we created content for a retirement fund where, we sort of said, well, this is the step. It's somebody else's idea, not my idea. We just facilitated the production of that. But still, there's things that the retirement fund started doing. The principal officer spoke, the benefit counselor spoke, and then there were also the advisors that are applicable or that works with that fund. They were there, and then they did their part and talked about retirement planning, different aspects of that, etc. And we created these videos. Some of them were interviews where I interviewed them. Some of them it was just them talking, and we just did some editing and things around it. But making that available for people. So, sometimes you'll talk, but somebody else will actually record it and produce it. Sometimes you can do it yourself. A lot of the stuff you can do yourself. So definitely something to always be thinking about. How do you create content? Because if only 4% of people create content, it means there's a massive opportunity to stand out. And I've said this before on a couple of shows. So stop being afraid if you are afraid. Stop being uncomfortable. Maybe it's not so easy to stop being uncomfortable, but at least push through and try things and see how it goes. Right, then obviously enhance your value proposition was the other one. It's always something that we need to think about. The value proposition needed to change. There were tweaks that were necessary in this new environment, this virtual environment. So that was definitely one of the important ones as well. And going with that hand in hand is to enhance your client experience and think about, how do you engage with people now virtually, specifically when you couldn't see people in person. And now we are seeing people in person again. Some people want to do that. Most people are going like, well, look, let's just meet via Zoom. And definitely something that you always need to consider. So those were the things from the 21 things that I think, if you really had to choose something from the shortened list that I've just discussed. But let me before I get into the 5 new ideas, sort of just quickly, let me just quickly have a quick look here. So it's just Mark and Henry that responded to my comments. So thank you very much. And so let's get into this. So this is the first one, and there's also an episode on this, and I fully, this was an amazing episode. I chatted to Anita Foster, but you need to institute a monthly helicopter day. And what that is all about, really, if you think about working on your strategy, the helicopter does a few things, right? You can lift up very high and look at things from above, and you can really get a big picture view of what's going on and see how everything fits together and whether it's working. The other thing about a helicopter, I think that Jonita said to us in that episode was, you can really maneuver and stand still at some particular point where you need it to. So you can move very quickly from one place to another, but you can also hover over a specific area and see what's going on there. But you need a monthly helicopter day to work on your business. And again, there's some members in PROpulsion Pro that works a lot on their business, and there's some that works a lot in their business. You know that old sort of story. But it is just important for us to spend time, even if it's just once a month. Just spend 1 day a month. It's not going to mean less revenue. I promise you, it's going to, over time, it will convert into a lot more revenue, because you're going to see where you can work better, smarter, more efficient, where you can add more value. And when you add more value, that usually the result of that is obviously then increasing your revenue and your profits and becoming more sustainable. So that is very important. The second thing I can add is, and this is not self-promotion, it is join a forward-thinking community. I've seen again this week with our Power Hour the different kinds of thinking and thoughts and how people share and connect, and then just say, you know what, some of the, listen, I'm just starting out now, getting my own license, so I want to learn more about like running my own practice and doing that. I've been in the business for many, many years, but now it's the first time I'm venturing out on my own. So there's the support, get into a community that is like-minded, that sort of is forward-thinking, wants to do things the right way, and is there for one another and help one another, and that contribute. So that's very important. We can't do this alone anymore. Some of you may be lucky to be in a big business where there's lots of people around you and lots of resources that's available. Go for it, use it. For those that don't, look at a community, something like PROpulsion Pro. So definitely something that could be extremely valuable. And this is a big one. It's a big passion of mine for this next one. And that is to audit your tech stack. So whatever technology you're using, sometimes we get so carried away with how we sort of everything that we want to implement and try. And we try all sorts of, and then this app works well and that works well and this is great. Then, it's amazing. And we just start using this. And before you know it, everything is so disjointed. And that, we can't really keep everything together anymore. And you don't sit with that one source of truth. Things are all over the place. So go and audit your tech stack. And with that, what I mean is, well, one, is the technology working for you? And to establish that, you've got to know, how do you really, how can I put this? Like, how do you use, like what problems are you trying to solve? What are the challenges in your business? Is technology making it, or the technology that you're using, because technology can sort it out, but is the technology that you're using making things better, or is it causing more frustration? So there's lots to audit around your tech stack, but definitely something to go and spend time with the needs of your business, the problems you have and that you're trying to solve. Look at the technology you've got. Chat to your software provider, your technology provider, whether it's the physical hardware, whatever you've got, or the software, but, partner with them, take their hands, let them take your hand and talk to them and see how they can best assist with the software that you've got. Because often the software you've got can sort out a lot of your problems. The challenge is, or the issue is, from my point of view, that I see every day, is that people don't take the time to get to know their systems. They don't spend the time to go through that bit of frustration, through that learning curve, to see exactly how it works, where things come from. The ones who do, they fly. They build amazing systems off the back, amazing automations, amazing workflows, and all of it. But because they spend the time to understand, one, what the system can do and how it works and what it can't do. So that's very important. So go and audit your tech stack. All right. So I just want to check something very, very quickly. Cool beans. All right, yeah, I see my technology is very clever. It just switched to crisp to sort of take out all the barking and all of that. All right, so hopefully it sounds fine on your side. Then the fourth thing that I want to share with you today is to host an appreciation event. Guys, we've been through I want to say an amazing and a horrific time, right? Because it's sort of best of both. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the worst of times because of all the stress, the frustration, the loss, whether it was financial loss or it was loss of a loved one. But there's a lot of heartache. There's a lot of anger maybe. There's a lot of tears and a lot of just sadness that came with this, what we've been going through in the last 18 months. But on the other hand, it was also the best of times because we've made leaps and bounds in terms of technology and the use of technology rather than technology. We've made leaps and bounds in terms of thinking differently and having to make things work. So I think it's always this yin and yang sort of story. And that for me is amazing. But I think it's now time to have an event. And there are 2 episodes, by the way. It's somewhere in the 20s of season 1. It was I was speaking about how to host and create a virtual event, different virtual kind of events that you can have. But today, you can have a hybrid event, or you can just have an online event, whatever you're comfortable with and what your clients are comfortable with. Host an appreciation event and say thank you to your clients. And you can invite specific clients, you can invite all of them, that's up to you. But I think an appreciation event is so critically important where we are today on the 19th of November in 2021. Say thank you for sticking with me. Tell them, well done for seeing it to where you are. Whatever. You need to think about how you will structure that. But definitely a massive opportunity to host an appreciation event for your clients. Then my last sort of idea, which I will add up, and this is important, guys. We're now 18 months down the line doing Zooms and Teams and like all these weird and wonderful Google Meets and stuff, right? But this is now the time to enhance your virtual meeting setup. It's not going away. It's not going to change. I've seen people really invest into this. They invest into the camera they use. They invest into even their laptop. They've got lights. They've got a great background, and not virtual backgrounds. I hate virtual backgrounds. I use them every now and then if I have to, because I'm in a place where there's no other way. But you want a permanent setup where you can do your meetings from, and that's professional, and you have something in the background that's really looking really great. And you can decide what that means. So, enhance your virtual meeting setup. Get better audio equipment. It's time. Get a better camera. It's time. Sort out the room in which you're doing this, your office, whatever it may be. It's time, right? So those are my 5 additional tips, and hopefully those are very valuable. If you have some tips of your own, please do share them in the chat or in the comments below. And let me quickly see who is saying what. So Razan says worthwhile reads with the view at the moment. Oh, lucky. You are very lucky, Razan. You must enjoy. Quivers, look forward to appreciation breakfast, Francois. Yeah, we're having a breakfast for the PROpulsion Pro members in Gauteng, the Free State, and in Cape Town, and then I'm also planning one for Natal. So we are busy with those things. So thanks, Kobus. Glad to see you joining us, and then agree on creating your own background. I mean, Kobus, like some of the people that have seen your videos and things on LinkedIn will know that that's your setup. It is absolutely amazing. And even, I must say, like with you traveling now, like you still do it wherever you are. You make sure there is something amazing in the background. So you really think about these things, because it's part of the client experience. It's part of first impressions. And even if it's people that know you, you don't want them to sort of think that we went backwards. We are going forward. That's where we're going. So that's my long story for this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and have a fantastic weekend. Remember the Write a Book in a Day on the 3rd. Check out PROpulsion Pro, and then on the back of that, please remember to always raise the bar. And with that, have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you back next week. Bye-bye.